Good evening. It is the threat of a major catastrophe at the Fernald plant, which has caused people living near the plant to insist they be warned if a problem ever develops. Well, today, the first piece of that warning system was tested for the first time. But News 5's Steve Forrest reports there's already concern that the system may be good as a public relations tool, but not much else.
That's how the test sounded right at noon. It came from a newly installed siren at the Fernald plant, designed as an early warning system for nearby residents. 8 sirens are planned in all. This is the only one working so far. And these are the 7 other sirens. They're due to be installed over the next couple of months. 4 in Hamilton County, 3 in Butler County, all within a 2-mile radius of the plant. But there's some concern among local residents that even after the sirens are installed, in case of an actual emergency, the sirens might not be enough. One says there might not be enough time to, as she puts it, get the hell out.
They say there is. Now, that's another question.
Do you believe them?
No, I can't right now, not at this point in time. I still have a lot of questions about, whether there would be enough time.
For example, Crawford's worried the sirens wouldn't do any good if the tops of these storage silos collapsed. They're filled with tons of radioactive waste, and a recent report says they could collapse even after a heavy snowfall. Fernald management, though, says the system is the best it can get, saying it'll be activated if there's an emergency. What would you define as an emergency?
If we had a leaking chemical tank of ammonia, for instance, and the wind was blowing toward Ross.
What about a collapse of the domes, say, or the silos?
Well, we don't want to speculate about what might happen. We just want to be prepared for what might happen.
Meanwhile, at a trailer park half a mile from the plant, Heyman Napier heard nothing this morning. Did you hear the sirens this morning?
No, I didn't hear them this morning.
Were you listening for them?
Yeah, I tried to listen for them, but I didn't hear them. I guess because I had the doors shut and everything.
Now, I'm told that when the other sirens are installed, it should be easier to hear them. But I was told the best way to hear the sirens today was if I stood downwind, which leaves wide open the question of what happens when you're upwind. How do you hear the sirens if they sound?
Well, they sound a little bit more like chimes than they do a siren. Is it really going to scare anybody?
It's not meant to scare anybody as such, but they're going to change them when they actually implement the system. They're going to sound more like a set of tones in descending order, but they're going to sound different than the standard civil defense sirens for specifically that purpose. They want them to sound different.
So they know the difference.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Within the next few months, 8 sirens at the Fernald uranium plant will warn the surrounding community of potential disaster. The first siren was tested and is operational tonight. The 7 other sirens will be installed within a 2-mile radius of the plant. The sirens are an early warning system designed to alert nearby residents in case of a dangerous chemical leak. Today's test comes one day after a new round of criticism directed at the company which operates Fernald. News 5's Steve Forrest reports the criticism was contained in a report, the contents of which were revealed exclusively by News 5.
The report itself breaks little new ground, but it does contain the strongest criticism to date of the company which is now running the Fernald plant. Specifically, it cites the release of radioactive gas from these storage tanks last April and says the way it was handled raises, quote, serious questions about the new contractor's credibility. And the report's author told News 5, unless Westinghouse does better, again quoting, we ought not to be putting our trust and faith in them. That's what it boils down to, a matter of trust. Westinghouse has tried to portray itself as kind of the good guy, coming in here, cleaning up the mess left behind by the bad guy, NLO, which used to run Fernald. And a company spokesman said today the GAP report can only hurt that image. A woman who lives near the plant gives Westinghouse generally good marks, with one big exception.
We do give Westinghouse credit, Fresh does, and I do too. And I feel like I have a little trust there with them. Now, the kindness incident with the K-65 tanks was upsetting, to say the least.
That incident happened last April. Radioactive radon gas was improperly vented from these silos for almost 4 hours. At the same time, former Congressman Tom Kindness was touring Fernald and being assured of its safety.
We made a mistake in the venting of the silos. That was a mistake. We should not have done that. We've learned a lot from that about work procedures and work permits and that sort of thing.
But Kelly makes no apology for the way Westinghouse handled the incident, despite a Department of Energy investigation which concluded the company tried to conceal information.
Hopefully they've learned a lesson, from that.
Do you really think they have learned the lesson, though?
Time will tell. I mean, I can't say if they have or not, but hopefully they have.
Westinghouse says yes, it has, with the DOE report and yesterday's study only making the company more determined to run a clean operation. Steve Forrest, News 5.
The report also says cracks were first detected in the storage silos 30 years ago, even while they were being built.
Well, the company that owns Hanna-Barbera Productions and a portion of Kings Island is considering selling out. Taft Broadcasting Company says it's evaluating its entertainment group with an eye toward possibly selling all or part of the division. The review is being done because of the company's increased focus on their media interests.